Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights starts in just a few days, so let's talk about all they have to offer for this Halloween season. This is Jane's Videos, and today we are going to be looking at all the houses, scare zones, and shows for Halloween Horror Nights 32 or Halloween Horror Nights 2023 at Universal Orlando Resort. I've never made a video like this discussing the Halloween Horror Nights stuff. I usually make a video when I go to Horror Nights and show it, but I've never made a video discussing it beforehand, but I really want to make some more Horror Nights content on this channel because I do love Halloween Horror Nights. It's one of the biggest Halloween events in the country, and I live only an hour away from it, so I have to talk about it. It starts in just a few days, and I'm not going to go on opening night, but I am going to go this season, of course. I always go to Halloween Horror Nights, absolutely love it. And there's some great things coming this season. This is the 32nd year of Halloween Horror Nights. It's not a big number in terms of what it brings to the event. As in, I mean, obviously 32 years is big, but it's not an anniversary year like a 35 or a 40 or anything like that. Of course, we had the 30th anniversary 2 years ago, and last year was still a big year because it slipped over a lot of people's heads, but it was the 31st year of the event. Of course, 31 is the Halloween number, and no one really mentioned this, but it's so obvious. The whole reason that the event was classic, traditional, vintage Halloween themed last year is because it was the 31st year. This year, though, even though it's not an anniversary number or a significant number, for some reason, they are really hitting hard with the Halloween Horror Nights lore this year. I think that's just following up from previous years, and they've seen that people have liked it. For the first time since, well, last year we got an icon. We got a new icon, the Pumpkin Lord, but before him, for the first time since 2016, when Chance officially became an icon, there has not been an icon at Halloween Horror Nights. Last year we got the Pumpkin Lord. This year we have a new icon who is a character who is intertwined in the backstories of previous year's icons, which is Jack the Clown, his boss, Dr. Oddfellow. So this year revolves around Dr. Oddfellow, which is very interesting because he has been a part of Halloween Horror Nights ever since the year 2000, but he's never been an icon, so that's very exciting to see. I love that they're giving us icons now. They haven't done icon years, like I said, since 2016 with Chance, and now they're back into doing it, which is a great thing. Now, I'm a little upset, I'm not gonna lie, that they chose Dr. Oddfellow this year when I'm doing the Oddville Circus of the Strange. Very similar name there. I promise I didn't copy them. Oddville was in my mind before they announced their thing. I wouldn't really care that much if they weren't only an hour away from me, and I'm a commercial haunt now. So I don't want people coming and being like, well, you ripped off Horror Nights. Whatever. It's fine. I love Halloween Horror Nights. It's going to be awesome. And honestly, it's a big plus that they're doing that theme this year because as I'm going to Horror Nights, of course, my haunt will be just about open by the time I go to Horror Nights, but it could give me some last-minute inspiration ideas going through their circus theme, because circus themes are rarely ever done in the freak show vibe. Yet, 3 Halloween events, not including Fearville, are doing it this year. Here are the houses for Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the licensed houses this year just because I don't really care for these licenses too much. Unfortunate, but really, for Halloween Horror Nights, me personally, I know a lot of people go for the IP houses, which are the licensed houses. I personally always prefer the original houses because I love original ideas that they do, and they just always seem better. You don't know what to expect, and just from a standpoint of me being a haunter myself, you can appreciate those more because they're original ideas. So I like the original houses more, and there's some great ones this year. But we're going to talk about the IP ones first because those are the big ones that are going to draw a lot of people. Starting with Stranger Things 4. Stranger Things Season 4 is coming to Halloween Horror Nights. Surprised they didn't do it last year, but they're doing it this year. I have seen the first and second season of Stranger Things. I have not seen the third or fourth. So, though I do appreciate Stranger Things, it's not something I'm crazy about, especially Stranger Things 4 since I haven't seen it. So, it's not one that I'm super looking forward to. Still love to go through it, and I probably will. But it's not one that I'm crazy about. But this is one that's going to draw in a lot of people for sure. I'm sure it's going to have a lot of the scenes from the season of the show. People are going to love it. It's going to have long wait times. Of course it will. The next one we have is kind of weird, and I'll explain why it's kind of weird. It's the Exorcist Believer. Now, when the speculation maps came out, because if you didn't know, speculation maps come out which show, like, speculation of what's going to happen this year before it's officially announced, it said The Exorcist, and I was hoping they were doing The Exorcist, original Exorcist again. They're doing The Exorcist Believer, which is the new movie, and the reason it's weird is because Halloween Horror Nights opens in a few days, and the movie doesn't come out until October 13th, so it opens over a month before the movie actually comes out, and so it's going to spoil scenes from the movie in the haunt. Very strange that they chose to do one of a movie that's not out yet. Next one is another big one that a lot of people are looking forward to, and it's The Last of Us. It's been many years since Halloween Horror Nights has done a video game haunted house. Now, this is not based off of the show. This is based off of the PlayStation game, The Last of Us. And that's really surprising to see. I personally know absolutely nothing about The Last of Us. I'm more into horror movies than games myself, and so I don't really know anything about The Last of Us. But I think it should be cool to see. It's definitely going to bring a lot of people to the event that maybe otherwise wouldn't have gone. And hey, thumbs up for that. That's a good marketing thing. I'm sure there's going to be some great things from the game in there, and I'm sure it's still going to be a great house. Last IP one, actually, I lied. There's another IP one after this, and I actually do like that other IP one. I completely forgot about it because it doesn't really seem like an IP one, even though it is. But this one is Chucky Ultimate Kill Count. Now, from what I'm seeing, this takes a lot from the show. I'm honestly wondering if this is a house solely based on the show, because the show is called Chucky and the house is called Chucky, or if it's going to have scenes from the different Chucky movies and it's basically just all of the Chucky stuff blended in one. I haven't seen the Chucky show, but I've seen the Child's Play movies, of course, and I love them and I love Chucky. So if that's the case, and it has stuff from Child's Play 1, 2, 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, all of that, that would be awesome, and I'm really excited for that. If it's just the show, I'll still like it because I like Chucky, but I won't really know much in terms of knowing what's going on around me in the house. But we will see. I'm not sure if it's the show or if it's all the Chucky franchise. We'll have to wait and see. But without a doubt, you know Chucky's going to be in it. The last IP one is the best IP one. Every year since 2019, they've been embracing the Universal Monsters like they should. And this year is no exception. It's Universal Monsters Unmasked. So it is in the Paris catacombs, and you go face-to-face against some of the more tertiary monsters that a lot of people don't talk about. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and the Invisible Man. That sounds awesome. Especially the Invisible Man, because I love the Invisible Man. That's going to be a great one. I feel like this could, without a doubt, be one of the best ones of the season. That is a great idea. They've done all the other monsters already in some capacity. Some of them only in the main monster house, but still, these monsters are ones they have yet to explore. I don't think they've done Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or the Invisible Man at all yet. And so that's going to be really exciting to see, but the fact it's in the Paris catacombs is going to make it even better. It's a lot like last year's Legends Collide, which was the Wolfman and the Mummy, is the vibe I'm getting from this. They're the monsters clashing, and I think this one is going to be awesome. We are now going to get into the original houses, which are my personal favorites always. And so I'm excited for these, and there's a lot of great ones this season, starting off with the big one, Dr. Oddfellows Twisted Origins. So this is a Dr. Oddfellow themed house. Again, they're doing a circus house just like I am, and it's very similar in name, but I'm excited to see it. I've seen the construction photos that have got up. There's a circus tent facade. I think it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be super cool to see Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins and learn about his backstory a little bit. I'm excited for this one. I think it could potentially be one of the best ones of the season, and it's going to give me a lot of inspiration. Even if I only have a day left to pull off that inspiration by the time I go, I'll pull it off. The next one is one that is very interesting. Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate. It is very medieval, very wizard-like. I like medieval stuff a lot, and I really like dragons. The reason this is interesting, and I'm not even sure if it's going to have a medieval atmosphere to it or not, because what this is a house based off of a defunct Universal ride from before they built Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure over at Islands of Adventure. There was a dueling roller coaster with dual tracks called Dueling Dragons. That ride doesn't exist anymore. Now Hagrid's is in its place, but they're making a haunted house off of a roller coaster. That is really interesting for sure, but I'm kind of excited for it because it's a cool concept. Now, of course, it's not going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be dragons. But I don't know if it's going to be more wizard witch-like or if it's going to be more medieval-like. I'm hoping the medieval route because I love medieval stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. But I gotta say, I think my favorite one, from the sounds of it, out of all of these original ones, is Yeti Campground Kills. Back in, I believe it was 2019, there was a house that it was one of the ones I missed that year called Yeti Terror of the Yukon. You can look up videos of it. It looks incredible, and I'm so sad I never got to go in it. It's a Yeti in a snowy mountain retreat. It's super cool. Yetis are awesome. This is the Yeti thing, but it's in a 1950s campground. I love 1950s, and that campground aesthetic I feel like is going to be absolutely killer, especially with a Yeti running around. I'm surprised it's a Yeti and not a Bigfoot because Yetis are more like snow ones, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for it. This is definitely my most anticipated one. I think this one's going to be killer. It's probably going to be the best one of the season. Next up is a very interesting one called The Darkest Deal, and it's about a blues musician named Pine Straw Spruce after he meets the Collector and trades his soul for musical glory. Very interesting. I think it's gonna be like a southern type theming because it's a blues musician, probably southern Louisiana type theming there. That's a very interesting theme to base around because the theme isn't really overtly stated. It's just about a blues musician who traded his soul, which I think is a cool idea for sure. I'm just curious about what the sets are going to look like or the characters because that's very interesting because it doesn't really say what the setting is or anything. So this is one I'm very interested in seeing. Last but not least is Blood Moon Dark Offerings, which at first sounds like a werewolf one, but it's not. However, it still sounds awesome because it's a colonial era village. I love the colonial era. That is where all the New England stuff is. That is colonial, makes me think of the Salem witch trials and stuff. This very much so could be a very Halloween-y house. It says there's a blood moon ritual at the fall festival in a colonial era town. This could be one of the most Halloween-y houses they've ever done. It could be very Salem-like, or if they're saying colonial meaning like Revolutionary period, it could be like Sleepy Hollow. No matter what, it's a fall festival in a colonial town where a sacrifice is going on. This one's going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited for it. We're now going to get into the scare zones. There are some cool scare zones this season for sure. I think it might be some of their best scare zones in recent years. The first one is Dr. Oddfellows' Collection of Horror, which is the main entryway scare zone when you first walk in to basically present you with the theming for this year's event. And it looks pretty cool from the construction videos and pictures I've seen of it. There's a wagon, a circus wagon with Jack the Clown's face on it. It looks like it's going to be a cool one. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Usually the entryway ones are more of just, like I just said, an entryway. They're not really a full scare zone. But this one sounds like it could be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. The next one is Dark Zodiac. So these are the Zodiac signs made dark. I'm not too excited for this one. I think it's a cool concept, but as of right now, where it stands, I'm not super thrilled for it. We'll have to wait and see what it's like. Jungle of Doom Expedition Horror. It's a 1920s jungle. It says it's in the 1920s and there's monstrous creatures. That's cool. I love the jungle theming. Very different. I feel like it could potentially be really cool. It's located in the Central Park section of the park, which there's always a great scare zone there because it has a great potential for a scare zone because it's cramped. It's got a lot of trees and the The trees that are there all year really lend themselves into being a great part of the scare zone. Also, from what I've seen, this one looks the coolest out of the construction work that's been done on it so far. There's giant bats hanging from the trees. I have a confession, and all of the Halloween Horror Nights fans are going to hate me for it. I'm not a big fan of the Vamp 85, 69, whatever. I'm not a big fan of those scare zones. I liked Vamp 55 a lot because I love the 50s. And so that one was awesome. And I also love vampires. So I thought that was a great one. But that one truly still had a nice Halloween feel to it. Vamp 85, I wasn't a huge fan of, and my main reason why is because it was set on New Year's Eve, the storyline for it was. I don't know, seeing New Year's Eve at a Halloween event, even if it's vampires, it kind of pulls me out of the Halloween atmosphere. Vamp 69, Summer of Blood, it is basically the Woodstock Music Festival. That's a good idea, and honestly, I feel like I'm going to like it more than Vamp 85. Still, I'm just not feeling it too much. They're not very Halloween-y to me. They're not, and I love vampires, but I like the more classic vampires. I think it's going to be cool, but I don't know. It's just not my thing. I've never really liked the Vamp Decade scare zones other than Vamp 55, but we will see. Maybe it'll be absolutely awesome. The last scare zone is Shipyard 32, Horrors Unhinged. So it's a 1940s Shipyard. So it's going to have nightmarish oddities belonging to Dr. Oddfellow on the Shipyard. So this is going to be in the San Francisco area because it's right on the water. They've done water-themed scare zones there before. Looking forward to this one. I love the nautical stuff. I think it's cool. Dead Man's Wharf was the original one they did there in 2016. That was nautical, and they brought it back as a house last year. I don't know if this one's going to top Dead Man's Wharf because that's more port side, maritime, like fisherman, ghostly fisherman nautical. This seems more like weird creatures in like an industrial shipyard. We will see. But the last thing I'm going to talk about is the show for this season. I'm not seeing a... It's very weird. I'm not seeing a show that is the water show. It doesn't look like they're going to be bringing that back this year, but they are bringing back Nightmare Fuel Revenge Dream. I'm not crazy about the Nightmare Fuel, and I'll tell you why. I like Academy of Villains, and I think that's their new name for Horror Nights. I used to really like their shows, but they do them every year now. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I absolutely love. My favorite show at Horror Nights was my favorite year of Horror Nights. The Carnage Returns with Jack the Clown and Chance. It was a full scripted show. It was absolutely fantastic. It's what made me get into Horror Nights more. I'd like them to do stuff like that again. Shows with the icons that are full shows with actors and not just dancing and stuff, because that's cool, just not my thing. And personally, I think this year, Dr. Oddfellow, he's a ringmaster. This would have been the perfect year to do another show like The Carnage Returns. Kind of disappointed they just keep going for the Nightmare Fuel thing. It just seems like an easy route to do because they know it'll work. And I don't know. Props to Academy of Villains and the Nightmare Fuel thing. It's I've never seen it, but I've seen videos and it looks great. But I want those icon shows back. Anyways, that is all the information you need to know about Halloween Horror Nights 32 right before opening, and I just wanted to give my opinion on everything and what I'm excited for, what I'm looking forward to, because I feel like this is going to be a great season, and it starts in just a few days, so I'm really excited for that. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights for 2023 and what your most anticipated house and scare zone is. Remember that here lies Halloween.